And I'm like, leftists make me sick. I'm always talking about white men. I'm always talking about white men leftists. Sorry, not sorry. But I need people to understand that.
Well, maybe we can start to fix this with this conversation.
That'd be good.
Not something that you've talked about publicly is how a lot of the white progressives are missing a sort of racial lens in the way that they talk about the economy. What I'm really curious about is how to take this message of economic populism and class consciousness and fighting the billionaires and do it in a way that is inclusive of Black people and Black women especially.
The first thing is to stop saying Democrats left behind the working class as if Black women aren't part of that. That is the worst and the number one phrase that pisses off so many Black women, including myself.
Yes.
Like, understand that the lack of class consciousness also comes from the subjugation of our community and our people to be used for capitalistic gains, like not taking into account really what this country was built on.
Well, part of the reason that I'm optimistic about bridging this gap is that the history of democratic socialism and leftism in the United States was written by Black people.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Better Future podcast. I'm excited to bring you today's episode with Elizabeth Booker Houston. She's a lawyer, comedian, and political commentator based in our country's capital, Washington, D.C. I met Liz a couple years ago, and since then, I've seen her grow into one of the loudest and most respected voices on social media, representing the perspective of Black women in U.S. politics. I really wanted Liz to be one of my initial guests, first of all because I think she's brilliant, and second of all because I see our conversation as a potential bridge-building opportunity within the world of progressive politics. Because recently, I've noticed that some supporters of identity politics, people who prioritize racial justice, for example, have butted heads with supporters of class politics, people like me who believe that economic inequality is at the root of so many of our problems. And my hope is that this conversation helps people realize that actually we're all on the same team, and that it sparks ideas for finding common ground as we move forward as one progressive movement. As Liz and I work through that, we touch on a range of topics, from white supremacy in the US to how to integrate class consciousness with anti-racism to how a more inclusive left can help build toward a better future. All right, let's get into it.
So today I'm here with Elizabeth Booker Houston, lawyer, comedian, and political commentator based in Washington, D.C. Liz, it's great to be here in D.C. with you.
Hey, it's great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Of course. I'm very excited for this conversation.
Yeah, there's been some stuff. And it's been a while since we've seen each other, and a lot has happened.
A lot has happened. The vibes have shifted a little bit.
A little bit.
How are you feeling about the state of the world and the direction we're headed?
I am hopeful, which surprises people. I am very hopeful. I'm very hopeful about even the future of the United States because the people who are currently wreaking havoc are incredibly stupid, and this is not sustainable. That's not to say they're not going to cause harm in the meantime. There's definitely harm that is being caused and will continue to be caused to people, but this is going to implode. And I'm hopeful that we will be able to build something better and new at the end of it.
Well, that's a perfect intro because this show is called Better Future. To your point, there's a lot of incompetence in the current administration and a lot of, I think, just bad ideas. But their message resonated with a lot of people, right? And so I'm curious if you think that there's a part of their platform, there's a part of their message that is particularly resonant with the American people that explains what brought this administration into power.
Yeah, white supremacy. I feel like everybody wants to tiptoe around it, and it's like, we can talk about, oh, he said he was going to make eggs cheaper or he focused on the economy. That's not it. It was pure white supremacy. As a Black Southern woman, and 55% of the Black population in America lives in the South, right? I feel like our perspective has diverged so much from all these others who did postmortems of the election. It's racism. It's white supremacy. I am the third generation in my family born into freedom. Like the third generation in my family to not be born enslaved. And my dad was 8 years old when MLK was assassinated in our city in Memphis, Tennessee. My dad looks young as hell. Like, people see my dad. He's in his early 60s. We are not that far removed from Jim Crow, from segregation, from slavery. But I feel like we've gotten so comfortable, especially after Obama got elected, in not addressing the fact that white supremacy is still extremely strong. It had nothing to do with the economy, it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with appealing to a lot of white people, mostly white men, and feeling like they could be better than someone else. But until you get to the root of white supremacy, none of that will survive or succeed or win in any way.
I'm very excited to dig into that because I think there's a lot of conversations happening on the left right now around whiteness and around I think
And white
certain
supremacy is
progressive-
strong on the left. I do want to say that as well, because that
that's
needs
what
to be-
that's what I want to unpack with you, right? Because I think
Yeah.
any times that we've had any friction online in terms of our different commentary, it's like a lack of racial justice awareness and some of the things that I'm saying. And I want to unpack that with you because I think that we'll be able to sort of bridge that gap in this conversation. I'm excited to. On the point of white supremacy, there's a version of white supremacy that the MAGA movement has made accessible to non-white people as well. Ultimately, it comes down to supremacy. But I think that it's almost this idea of like American supremacy and this American first mindset
Oh,
that
that's always been around.
create an in-group, right?
Yeah.
Because we did see, more, it is especially men, more men, Latino men and Black men vote for Trump this time around than the first time. And I think it's largely because they felt that they were getting included in his message. It's fascism 101 to create an out-group and an in-group and simplify all of these complex problems that are popping up, whether it's the climate crisis or inequality or the rising cost of living, and say, yeah, we have a simple explanation for that. It's those other people outside of this in-group that are causing that problem.
Absolutely.
And so it's trans people, it's undocumented immigrants, it's
Black women, because when they
Black
made
women.
that DEI watch list website, it was full of Black women who work in the federal government. It's really not surprising. Like, I know folks were like, oh, it's so surprising, like the way that Black men and Latinos who are not white Latinos, how that resonates with them. Like, Black women are looking at each other like, no, it's not. They've been doing this. They have done so much work to convince people that Black women are ghetto. The hairstyles are ghetto. The nails are ghetto. The way we talk. We're too loud, we're too angry, we're too this. And meanwhile, a white Kardashian has got the long pointy nails and got the braids and got the big booty, but it's okay on them because it's on a white woman. And that has also been offered up as an alternative for Black men. Well, Black men, rather than fighting against white supremacy and doing all of that hard work and struggling, maybe you could just align yourself with it.
Yeah.
And that's that whole issue of seeing people who are not white trying to align with whiteness as a way to save themselves or position themselves as better than others in their community. And it's been going on for such a long time.
And it's frustrating, especially as someone who does view things from more of a materialist and class lens, because the racial gaps are still there.
Yeah.
But if you provide a narrative that's like anyone can participate in this great American capitalist project, everyone has a free opportunity, then you can trick people into thinking, oh yeah, I have the same chance of being a billionaire as anyone else. But all the billionaires are still white men. Yeah. That's my big problem with the narrative we're told on conservative social media, that like you should just lock in and grind it out and you should be a warrior in the free market and those sorts of things. Like, yeah, I actually think hard work is important and everyone should be entrepreneurial in their own way if they can, if they have the ability. But like, let's not ignore the fact that there's a huge historical context that you're entering into when you join the economy. And I think that gets lost.
It gets lost.
It's oversimplified. It's papered over.
Oh, it's oversimplified. And it's also not handled in a way that I think is culturally competent. It's been a very jarring experience. And that's why the women who have dubbed themselves the 92%, which is in reference to the fact that 92% of Black female voters voted for Kamala Harris,
Wow.
which was the largest. We've had a lot of conversations about how if we have any kind of sign of any kind of success or intelligence, it's also being used by white guys on the left in the same way. And they love to use in different words the same thing that the white dudes on the right tell us, which, oh, you're on the Democrat plantation. As opposed to recognizing that we're working with what the hell we've got.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a perfect segue into something I want to dig into more. And maybe we can start to fix this with this conversation. At least give people a conversation to point towards when this comes up. Something that you've talked about publicly is how a lot of the white progressives that are in leadership positions in this city especially are missing a sort of racial lens in the way that they talk about the economy. What I'm really curious about is how to take this message of economic populism and class consciousness and fighting the billionaires and giving power back to the working class and do it in a way that is inclusive of Black people and Black women especially, so that it doesn't feel like you're being excluded or left out.
The first thing is to stop saying Democrats left behind the working class as if Black women aren't part of that. That is the worst and the number one phrase that pisses off so many Black women, including myself. When Bernie Sanders gets up and says, the Democrats left behind the working class, and Black women are looking around going, but 92%. We saw the message. We saw what was needed. We saw what was needed to stop fascism. It wasn't the best, but we've always dealt with not having all that we need.
Yeah.
We're just working our way and inching our way toward what we think could be better, or at least protect us in the meantime. I know people want to talk about messaging, but I always respond with, what makes Black women so exceptional then that we could decipher this super difficult messaging from Democrats that no one else could? If the messaging was really just that bad. Was it messaging, or was it a sense of the need for a community to come together? I can't have another white person talk to me about coalition building. I'm like, I need you to stop. Really just say what you mean. That's fine. If Bernie Sanders wanted to say, hey, working class white guys were left behind, they didn't feel special, then say that. But you can't really say, oh, all of the working class. And then you need to figure out why it was working class white guys, which again brings us back to white supremacy and racism. I mean, Jesus, Black women, we've been talking about things like fighting for Medicaid for so long. And I've said for years, everybody should have food stamps. I think it's ridiculous that food is not something that's just naturally given to everybody in this country. You know, like, regardless what your income is, you should just have food stamps. Like, things like that we've been talking about. We've been having the conversation. Yeah. And now we're just suddenly being pushed out in so many ways.
It's almost like the narrative is missing a kind of understanding of this intersectionality of class consciousness with racial justice.
Like, understand that the lack of class consciousness also comes from the subjugation of our community and our people to be used for capitalistic gains, like not taking into account really what this country was built on, and really thinking about that in an intentional way. And I know it can be done because I've engaged with so many people who have these intentional conversations, who are white people, and they get it so well. So it's possible. But I think part of it, and this is going to sound really mean, is I pissed a lot of people off when I said this, but I said Dunning-Kruger is just as rampant on the left as it is on the right.
What's Dunning-Kruger?
Dunning-Kruger is this theory that the less you know, the more you think you know. You know?
Yeah.
And it is very rampant on the left because I've seen so much misinformation on that side too. And part of it is because we've had our education systems dismantled for so many years. And so it's very hard for people to hold space for multiple concepts and ideas and to have that critical thinking. And so that's at the root of it too. We've got to get to a place where we can actually think and talk critically.
Right. So when I hear Bernie Sanders talking about the leaving behind the working class and kowtowing too much to the donors, I mean, it makes sense to me because I'm like, yeah, the policies of the Democrats have been very corporation friendly, have been very good for Wall Street. You have this progressive wing within the Democratic Party that's pushing for more populist policies and for, higher taxes on corporations, wealth taxes, expansion of the social safety net, more investments into public transportation, those sorts of things. And so when I hear those, I guess I'm happy to just talk about it in terms of economic policy because to me it's just, it's economic policy. But to your point, this issue of racial disparity needs to be included. Otherwise, it feels like you're being excluded. Is that right? Or is it?
I don't even say it feels. I mean, it is being excluded. Yeah. He's been very clear about that. And I don't want to just focus on Bernie Sanders. He's just
it's not just a Bernie thing, of course.
But he is a career politician. And I feel like all career politicians, he's out of touch. A lot of them are. Even the ones who I like more. A lot of them are just really out of touch.
It sounds like it's almost like the key thing that's needed is a willingness to engage.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that Bernie's definitely guilty of, is kind of avoiding these topics of the intersections with his platform. And he's getting a lot of flack from pro-Palestine activists as well, of just completely ignoring the issue. Like when there was a protest at one of his events, he literally just stood there in silence and waited until they were escorted out. It was such an opportunity to just say something.
I mean, I watched him, at the DNC also ignore I interviewed a couple of the uncommitted folks and I watched him just ignore them just the same as anybody else, So that's what I say
it's just like willingness to be uncomfortable and engage with these issues.
And I think also when it comes to talking about the Democratic Party, I've noticed that we're talking about two different parties a lot of times.
Yeah.
I had a white person asked me on Facebook the other day when I talked about being given a seat at the table with these wonderful Black congresswomen. who were talking about fibroids and how 8 out of 10 Black women are affected, which is crazy. And he said, oh, but what about Palestine? And I'm like, first of all, we're talking about Black women and our health. It's okay for us to center ourselves a lot of times, which has also been an issue with different issues coming from the left, is, again, that inability to hold space for multiple things in the critical thinking. And so feeling like you're trying to push an issue, which I feel very deeply about, free Palestine. My God, free Palestine. I mean, common sense, my goodness. A lot of Black women, we feel that way. It's not that I don't believe in that cause, but we're talking about Black women and Black women's health and you want to derail it. But also, in talking about the 2 different Democratic parties, I was like, these were women who are members of the Congressional Black Caucus. Ayanna Pressley, who was very staunchly pro-Palestine, a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, and one of the women who I respect. I don't like the sweeping generalizations that are made about the Democratic Party and saying I'm on a plantation when I'm looking at people like Ayanna Pressley. That is who I'm looking at.
Right.
I'm not looking at Chuck Schumer. I mean, just there's a difference.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason that I'm optimistic about not only this conversation, but also the long-term view of the issues that we're talking about and bridging this gap is that my politics, I've been pretty clear and vocal about the fact that we need to move towards more people power, a more socialist orientation towards policymaking, eco-socialist if I had my way with things, because I think that climate is a huge entry point into rethinking the way that the government works within the economy, and really democratic socialist, because it's not the authoritarian central planning that the Soviets did, okay?
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that.
Like people don't, we've got to have that nuance, because the tankies are something else.
Yeah, it's democratic socialism, which is the people should decide how the economy works and how priorities are set within the economy. We should vote on those things and not have politicians who don't necessarily represent the people's interests, who are more interested in what their donors want them to do, making the decisions about how money gets invested. And it's connected to the movement to get money out of politics, right? Because right now what we have is pretty much the opposite of democratic socialism, which is a very small class of very rich people telling the politicians what to do, and the politicians go and do that. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because the history of democratic socialism and leftism in the United States was written by Black people.
Yes, I had the honor of actually just being on a panel at the NAACP with Fred Hampton Jr.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Cool.
So that's the other thing, too, when I say, because I make sweeping statements when I'm like, leftists make me sick. I'm always talking about white men. I'm always talking about white men leftists. Sorry, not sorry. But I need people to understand that, because my friend George, folks know him as Conscious Lee, he and I looked at each other, we were like, that's our leftist.
Yes.
Fred Hampton Jr.
Yep.
Folks like that. That is the leftism that we know, written by Black folks.
Fred Hampton's a great example. The Black Panther Party was vocally Marxist-Leninist, was the way that it was founded as a Marxist-Leninist organization. And what they did was a bunch of leftist stuff. Yeah. They did the free breakfast program.
Yes.
They did community kitchens. They did health clinics for the people that were free for their communities. These are the type, like the Black Panther was doing it. But
also I like to point out that's really important in the discussion, and what Dr. Angela Davis has discussed is the misogynoir within the Black Panther Party. Again, and that stems from white supremacy. That can break down even some of the most beautiful and strong Black organizations at the end of the day. And something that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough in that situation either. And I had a guy ask me one time, he said, are you capitalist or anti-capitalist? And I said, I'm neither. And he said, what does that mean? And I said, I don't identify myself in relation to systems created by white men. He did not like that. So when you talk about like Marxist, Leninist and all that, when I say I don't identify with any of that. And folks on the left are like, wait, what? I'm like, my politic is Black woman.
That's cool.
That's
I like
it. That's my politic.
And I'm not trying to get you to support Marxism or Leninism.
No. You made an excellent point, and it just made me remember that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's I like that. Your politics is Black.
Yeah, and I truly feel that that's why the misogynoir was in the Black Panther Party.
That was a problem, of course.
I do. I feel like it's because, again, the idea was correct. But it doesn't surprise me that something where they, again, were boldly Marxist-Leninist, it doesn't surprise me that something that was rooted in something created by white men led to misogynoir at the end of the day.
We need a new iteration of this.
We need something. Forget an iteration. We just need something new.
New version of this. Yeah. Well, I mean, I believe that class consciousness will need to be part of whatever political movement
100%.
that it makes this country better.
If you ask me, I would say it's anti-racism and then class consciousness. Just boom, boom.
Those are your power rankings.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
They got it. They go together. They are hand in hand.
I agree, of course. What else?
Oh, we have to, tackle the sexism.
Okay.
And
Okay.
not just sexism, and the way people think. I mean, my God, the transphobia, the homophobia, all of these things that are rooted in it. We're not just talking about
Supremacy.
women.
It's supremacy.
It's all part of the supremacy. Yeah, we've got to get at that. And we have to tackle the ableism. We have to stop valuing people based on what they can do as far as output, because that is rooted in the capitalist issues as well. That's why we view disability as a moral failing. I've mentioned this before when it comes to autism versus giftedness, right? They're both neurodivergence. But the reason why autism is treated like such a boogeyman is because autism doesn't show people what you can do for capitalism, but giftedness does.
You have an autistic child, right?
I do. I have an autistic child, and I was a gifted hyperlexic child. And so I've seen both sides of this. Both my son and myself have IEPs for very different reasons. And the way that society looks at us and the way that our resources are allocated are completely different. But it's no accident that I was gifted and my son's autistic. These things, these neurodivergences run in the same circles. Doesn't surprise me that I would have an autistic child. But the way the world looks at him is completely different than how they would look at me. Again, based on what I can do to make people money.
Yeah. Trump and RFK say they're going to get to the bottom of autism. Do you trust them on that?
Absolutely not. They're dumbasses. And also they're hateful. And I heard a rumor that, again, it's a rumor, allegedly RFK Jr. has an autistic child and he's got a bug up his ass because he can't love his child for who his child is. And that sounds like a personal problem. Go to therapy, my guy. Don't go to the secretary position at HHS. They're not going to get to the bottom of that. And people have got to accept the fact that autism is genetic. It can also be hereditary. And those mean two different things, which confuses people all the time. But, oh my God, the vaccine misinformation. Measles is at an all-time high.
We're bringing back measles.
I don't understand, and I will never understand being so afraid of having an autistic child that you'd want to risk your child dying of a preventable illness. It's crazy. My kid is awesome. People are weird. But yeah, RFK Jr. and Trump, they can go to hell. Isn't Elon Musk autistic? That's the crazy part. I'm like, doesn't the guy that you put in charge of Doge
I think he says
autistic?
he has Asperger's, right?
Yeah, which is not recognized anymore because...
And the man does a lot of ketamine.
It makes sense that he likes to say Asperger's since that comes from a Nazi doctor who euthanized autistic children. Yeah, that's why we don't use that term anymore. That's why it's just autism spectrum disorder. But it doesn't surprise me that the Nazi from South Africa likes to use the Nazi term. But
so Asperger was
Dr. Asperger, yeah.
Dr. Asperger, wow.
Yeah, he look it up, but yeah, he murdered children who were too autistic and picked out the ones that he thought were, the right amount of autistic, I guess, which is usually overlapped with giftedness. Giftedness and autism co-occur a lot, which goes back to your output. That's just the difference of disability being seen as a drain on society.
Yeah.
And so...
I saw a really good tweet this week that said if vaccines cause autism, then we'd have a lot more trains.
Oh my God, yes. That's so funny. It's so true.
Or a lot better trains.
I also just love the fact that we didn't go the other way. Vaccines make gifted kids because,
Yeah.
People love to brag about having gifted kids. I have some news for parents out there, though. There's a good chance that your gifted kid is also autistic.
So real quick before we move on, because I think this is actually a super important point, this idea of a racially just, racially informed, historically informed, based on the actual history of leftism in the United States and the way it was written by Black people, the way that Black people have been so involved in it, and also non-ableist, non-supremacist version of progressivism that the United States desperately needs. Do you have any thoughts about how we build that, or what is preventing us from building that now?
God, just greed. Greed is preventing it. Greed is preventing it so badly. Everybody contributes what they can contribute, right? And in the way that capitalism is right now as it stands, if I made a whole bunch of money and you told me you were going to take 60% of all the money I made, but everybody was going to have food and housing and healthcare and services. We talk about legal aid services in case they have to deal with any issues or, all of these things, all these wonderful things, education, college for free, I'd be like, oh, take it, take it, take it.
Most people would not say that, at least in this country right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if not most. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like maybe it's 50-50.
Actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of people would definitely sign up for that. I mean, that's kind of what the Scandinavian countries are doing. It's sort of like
I think people
testing
would.
ground for this sort of politics.
We have ingrained this idea of rugged individualism that is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as pull yourself up by your bootstraps, especially when you don't give people bootstraps. Like, that's crazy to me. And this idea that you've got to make it on your own and that everybody can have everything. No, they can't. That's so stupid. Like, don't lie to people so that they work themselves to death. That doesn't make sense. I'm a black woman from the South who was born in poverty, and I can recognize all of my privilege. Why can't these white billionaire dudes just go ahead and admit it? I can tell you right now that because I have a certain hair texture and light skin, and my name is Elizabeth and not an ethnic name that sounds black, and the fact that I have a brain that just happens to compute things at a different rate than other people, all of these things that are just an accident of my birth, all of those things have an impact. That I'm skinny, that I'm tall, like all of these things are privileges. There's somebody out there who's probably a million times, I'm sure, smarter than I am, who could do wonderful, amazing things. But because they don't look right to society, or they're too this or they're too that, they're not going to get a microphone and a seat at the table. And I think it's ridiculous to keep acting like, oh, no, I'm special. I get to have all these social media followers, and I get to make more money than the average person because I'm special and that's what I deserve. No, it's dumb luck. It's stupid, dumb luck. And
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that way.
I think it's a shift in the way people view their gifts as not gifts for themselves, but
Yeah.
gifts to their community. How can we use our privilege in a way that benefits the people around us, as opposed to benefits, your ability to buy a third house and maybe a yacht if you're
I have
lucky.
one car. I don't know. I function on one car and go on public transit. I came over here on the metro telling me like the billionaire needs 1 million cars. Come on.
And what you
all
said
that.
about the gifts you're born with, I think is actually a really important piece of it too, because the whole narrative of rugged individualism is held up by the belief that we are in control of our own fate, and that with hard work we can do anything. But that is so silly when you consider that the family you're born into, the IQ that you're born with, the variety of personality traits that you're endowed with, and then the upbringing that you have until you're actually a individual adult who can make decisions for yourself. And the fact that those things that happened to you in your childhood are actually what will determine your income level, your education level, and your level of happiness. I mean, this has all been studied. We know that...
that was the research I did. It was called Adverse Childhood Experiences. It was ACEs research, yes. And that's what I worked in, specifically community violence. And we talk about ACE scores. And when your ACE score is a certain level, you have a higher likelihood of certain things like drug addiction, alcohol addiction, things like that. And my ACE score is 5.
Is that bad?
That's very high. Anything above 4 is really, really bad. And that's why I say a lot of things are just dumb luck.
Yeah.
Because by all of the science and everything, I shouldn't be doing well and probably shouldn't be alive at 35. Just especially coming
here
from
you are.
the most dangerous city in the country. But here I am.
Is it because you pulled yourself up?
It's not because I pulled myself up by my bootstraps. It's because I had some good fucking luck that a lot of people don't have. That's
Luck is a huge part of it.
Luck is a huge part. I mean, I think about it even in terms of my brother, and my brother's story, he was murdered when he was 25, just walking to his car. Didn't know the dude was a good kid. Good kid who didn't do drugs, didn't have a sip of alcohol till he was 21, wasn't involved in gangs, was a videographer and a photographer who was doing a job at a nearby venue where an event was going on, and was going to his car, and 2 people started fighting. He was shot and killed. Stupid luck, right? But there's certain ways that we can turn luck like that around and make it less likely. That's the thing. In this society right now, it's a stroke of luck. But we have the ability to change things in a way that it doesn't have to always be who gets lucky and who doesn't. If we addressed gun violence in this country, we could prevent things like that. If we decided to make sure that every child had a house and food in their tummies, we could prevent so much of the bad luck that happens. And so I guess it's to say that it's not really truly luck. It's not really luck, but it's not something we make for ourselves. It's something that the systems are imposed upon us, and that's why we have to change them.
Those are things we can change through policy.
Yeah.
And we can give people a fair shot.
Yeah. Nobody has a fair... Too many people don't have a fair shot right now.
And it's not, I think people who are more conservative might be listening to this and saying, look, these people take no responsibility for their own lives. And it's actually... couldn't be farther from the truth. And I think it's a combination of those things. You can have individual responsibility, you can be entrepreneurial, you can be hardworking, and still recognize that it's the context in which you're brought up that is the true determinant of the quality of the future life that you lead. And you can attack it from both sides and say, teach people hard work, keep that American individualism that people are so proud of. And we have to redefine what
hard work is. Hard work doesn't always mean what people try to think it means. Like, we don't have an appreciation for arts like we should. We don't have an appreciation for the gifts that people bring to the world. That's part of it too. And we have to change that. And for the conservative people out there, my friend Suzanne, she said I'm MAGA-coded.
You?
Yeah. She said I'm extremely MAGA-coded.
Okay.
What she meant is, I don't drink. I've never done drugs. The only man I've been with sexually is my husband, and I went to law school and I got all the degrees and I do all the things and I have the son and the house and the heteronormative relationship and all of those things that in all ways could make me a grifter on the right if I wanted to be, and say, look, I came from poverty and I'm amazing because I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, and yet I don't do that because it's not true. And so that's the thing that drives me crazy with conservatives who are just like, oh, no, they're not taking responsibility. I am everything that MAGA could dream of besides being white. If I were a white woman, it'd be completely perfect. Okay? I take that out, but I am all of the things that the right tries to push when they talk about rugged individualism. I'm telling you it's a lie. I'm telling you it's a lie. And so many of these conservatives don't live up to those ideals either. They don't live up to any of, most of the ideals, if any, that they set on that ideology. And it drives me nuts. There are other people out there who could do just as well and way better if they just, again, had the fair shot. And it drives me insane. I lay awake at night, and I'm sure you do too, thinking about this of and I don't think about it as I'm amazing when I go to bed at night. I think, why did I get so lucky? Because I grew up, even just in my personal life, I grew up in the same city as my brother, and he got killed and I didn't. And I had been in shootouts and things like that had happened, but he died and I didn't. There's a lot of things like that that's just why does this happen? And what can we do to stop the things like that? There's no reason that had to happen.
I'm sorry that happened.
It's
terrible.
It's okay.
It's
not okay, but it's okay.
It's not okay. But yeah, we keep going.
We keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make him proud.
That's
in
what
his
I
memory.
do.
You can carry it with you.
That's what I do.
Yeah. He's still here in this room, thanks to you.
Yes. Always bugging me. I think that he is a ghost because after he died, my Xbox kept turning itself on, and he used to come into my house with his key, and I'd catch him playing video games.
I believe that. I haven't had a brother die, thankfully, but I've had a few of my best friends pass, and some things happened after that, things like this, and like the Xbox turning on, or certain synchronicities and then messages, and I'm like, there's a soul, isn't there? There's definitely a soul. If you lose someone really close to you, you can become pretty convinced that souls are real.
I think so. Well, they say energy is neither created nor destroyed; it is only transferred. So I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We went way off topic.
Oh, but I kind of love this. Did you have anything else to say about souls?
Nothing else about souls.
Okay.
Except that I don't think that Donald Trump has one.
Man, I hope he does somewhere in there. We can somehow appeal to his soul.
I just hope he catches dysentery. If everybody in all of the cabinet and Mike Johnson could just be sipping raw milk, they have a raw milk party and they're just chugging raw milk and they all be hilarious. You'd have to burn down the White House after that, though. You can't. It'd be disgusting. You have to burn it.
What if I told you that I've been drinking raw milk over in California?
Oh, well, wait. From a local source?
Yeah, the good stuff.
Oh, no. That's different. I actually talked to an indigenous woman about this who was in my law class, and we talked about the way that raw milk is different and how you can acquire safe options and stuff like that. But whatever the hell RFK Jr. and them are pushing is crazy. Like, I'm like, nah, you don't need to be getting nothing over state lines. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, something about like the mass production of raw milk kind of sounds nasty to me.
It sounds real gross.
Like, I think that the stuff that's on the shelves in supermarkets should probably be pasteurized.
Yeah, like, and also a lot of people don't know how to handle it properly. That's the issue. But you have folks who have like farms, like I said, especially the indigenous communities, and when you go out west, like you said, in California, who they've been doing this practice for hundreds of years. Like, that's what they've been doing.
A lot of bougie places too. A lot of like regenerative farms. Like, that's the thing in California right now. It's kind of a bougie thing to buy. It's like way more expensive than the other milk. But it does, based on people whose opinions I trust on this stuff, if you get raw milk that's like really clean and you know it's been treated right, it does have health benefits. But the idea of it being mass produced sounds a little scary unless we have really, really strong health codes, which I don't know I trust our country to do well right now.
No, California as a state has heightened health codes for sure. But also, like I said, that goes to the ethical issue that I kind of mentioned earlier with veganism, is like, I just find it also unethical that this is like something that is like a sacred practice that is done among a certain demographic of people. So it's like when white people start to take things and put it in Erewhon.
We're good at that. Erewhon, yeah. That's my least favorite place.
Oh, it doesn't look great.
Does not a good look for us white people.
It looks really bad.
Looks like we are the problem.
Oh no, not you, Michael. It's okay. You're one of the good ones. That's what white people say to me.
They say that to you?
Yeah, racist white people in the South. Oh yeah.
Gosh.
You speak so well. Wow.
You're so articulate.
You're so articulate.
Yeah, that's the word.
You're so articulate.
That's a red flag.
Am I reverse microaggressing you right now?
Yeah. Anything else you have to say to me?
No, that's it.
Anyway, new segment. No, but really, new segment. I think it would be fun to go through a bunch of U.S. politicians and get your quick reactions in a kind of lightning round style of what do you think about these people?
Okay.
I know what you think about RFK, but maybe let's just start with RFK.
RFK, demon throat.
Demon what?
Demon throat. I call him demon throat.
Yeah, the voice thing. Hey, isn't that a disability?
No, his is drugs.
Is that what caused it?
Yeah. Dude was a bad heroin addict. He
he
was,
did do heroin.
Man, I think he still does drugs.
I mean, apparently it's okay in the administration to do drugs.
Guess,
like Elon's going crazy on ketamine.
The ketamine, man.
Yeah.
And the Don Jr., that man loves the book of sugar.
Oh, shit. We're going to get back to the lightning round in a second. But Elon's starting a new party, the America Party.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Bullshit. It's so terrible.
You don't think he's going to do it?
No, I think the party is bullshit.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, he needs to be deported. I don't support mass deportations. I support deporting Elon Musk, and I think he should be deported to Sudan. I think that's where he needs to go, because apparently that's what we do now. We can just deport people to random places they're not from. I think he should be deported to Sudan.
Why Sudan?
Because the administration deported some people to Sudan who weren't supposed to go to Sudan and put them in extreme danger.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. We deported people to Sudan? Mm-hmm. I know about El Salvador, but I didn't know Sudan was in the mix now.
Oh, yeah. And at least one of the people was not from Sudan. I think he was from South America, and they sent him to Sudan.
I like Sudan as a destination for Elon Musk as well. I wouldn't put him in South Africa. I think he'd be dangerous down there.
No.
He'd start some sort of weird revolution.
Yeah, no. Or you could send him to that place with the tribe that like killed that one dude. I am not explaining that well.
What about sending him to Mars?
To Mars?
This is my thing with these tech bro billionaires that want to colonize Mars. It's like, go ahead. Please go. We don't want to hear from you anymore.
Even better, we send him in a submersible.
Now I like the way you're thinking.
Because we don't eat the rich. We dip them in the ocean like tea bags. Yeah.
Okay, moving on from Elon. Some people who I actually are kind of in the conversation around Democratic leadership. I want to get your temperature check on how you like these people, whether you'd be in support of them having more power moving forward. So, Gavin Newsom.
No.
Why not?
That man crazy. Let me tell you, I met him at the DNC and I took a picture with him. I never posted it because he scared me. He looked like a wax figure come to life.
He does look kind of waxy.
Ooh! Also, he's not, we need to be, how are we going to go further right from Kamala? This is crazy. Like, we can't do that. Come on. Like, no.
My take as a California resident is like, I generally have not been a fan for a long time.
Yeah.
But his ability to stand up to Trump in this sort of macho way is very valuable right now.
Yeah, but
because there aren't a lot of Democrats who are able to do that. And his ability to kind of play Trump's game and actually win at it. In that way, I think he's actually been inspiring, and he's been, I think, really good in the face of these ICE raids of saying, like, get the fuck out of our state. But that doesn't cover up the really lukewarm, moderate politics that don't really represent the progressive future that I want to see.
No, and honestly, like you said, does he need more power? I think he's got just enough right now. Like, he's definitely standing up to Trump. We can leave him where he's at right now.
Okay, next politician, Kamala Harris.
Let her go live her life in peace. I don't want to see her do anything again. I can't watch her get knocked down again. Just go live your life. I mean, that's just my opinion. Just let that woman live.
People are talking about her as the potential governor of California.
If she wants to, I'll support it. But I also support her just living the rest of her days out of politics and in peace, because they did a number on her during that 107 days. And I just as a black woman watching what happened to that another black woman, I'm like, I can't. My heart cannot take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cory Booker.
No, he's got to divest. You got to get away from AIPAC. You've got to. That's not good, Cory. I want, I was really, really proud of him when he did the speech, the 25-hour speech on the floor. I think he is a good person who really wants good things for people. He really, really does. I just hate to see him tied so closely to AIPAC. And I just don't. There's a conversation coming up again, the photo with Netanyahu.
Yep. I just don't think he can have it both ways, and he's trying to, and I think he's just standing in that middle ground for too long. He is in that
middle ground.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to waste his time on Bibi Netanyahu. Just focus on New Jersey and focus on your people. Focus on what you're doing for the black community. That needs to be the focus.
And we'll support you.
Yeah. Don't let that crazy man distract you.
AOC.
Love her. I'd vote for her for president in a heartbeat.
Oh, me too.
Oh my God. I love her. She's definitely had like missteps here and there in criticism, but my God, no one's perfect. And
no one's perfect.
And she's fantastic. Also, I heard a rumor from my friend that, at the time of recording this morning, she was with Mamdani in D.C. treating him to breakfast. Yeah. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
He's next. What do you think about Zohran Mamdani?
Oh, he's great, but he needs to do better about engaging the black community. He does not have the black vote right now. And Eric Adams cannot get that. Or Cuomo. We've got to, Mamdani, call me if you need some help, because you got to do better with the black folks. I think it's just, again, not because he doesn't care or doesn't care about black people or doesn't care about anti-racism or fighting anti-blackness. Yeah. This is another situation in which people are talking over an issue that they just need to hit directly on. Yeah.
So you're saying he's just kind of not talking about it?
Not engaging as he should. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does a really good job of this kind of very inclusive message about affordability and the working class, and very class conscious message. Yes. So I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
But I hear you. I've never heard him talk about black issues specifically.
I haven't. And he needs to in New York. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely needs to.
I bet he would do a great job if he was pushed on it. He's being forced to talk about Judaism and anti-Semitism a lot, and I think he's navigating that very gracefully.
Very well.
Would love to hear what he has to say about the history of black people in America and racism.
Yeah.
Imagine good stuff, but just got to do it.
You just got to do it. Yeah. That's it.
Pete Buttigieg?
I love Pete.
Okay.
I interviewed Pete. Pete is fantastic. He understands that class consciousness, and he also understands the issues of racism. And he is comfortable talking about it. I would vote for him for president.
Do you think America's ready for a gay president?
God, I hope so.
I think so.
You think so? I really hope so. I think he would be great.
One more person on the list, Jasmine Crockett.
God love her.
Save the best for last.
You did. I adore her. She is fantastic. She has done so much in the face of adversity. These crazy racists come at her. Trump cannot stand her because she is everything that he wishes he was. She's still fighting hard. She is still doing her job. She's still working for the people. she could be doing something else. I don't think enough people appreciate the fact that Jasmine Crockett, unlike a lot of others in Congress, doesn't have to be a career politician. And I don't even think she intends to be. I think she intends to do a job for when she's needed and then pass the torch, because she very much is all about not pulling that ladder up once she's made it to the top, but reaching back to other Black people, Black women, other folks to make sure that they have what they need. But I don't think enough people appreciate that she could be doing something else.
What do you mean? Like, does she have?
She could be a powerhouse political commentator, have a show.
Oh, yeah, she'd be amazing
she
at
could be
that.
a whole celebrity.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And she's going every day into Congress, into these spaces, dealing with these crazy people, putting herself out there for all this criticism. And she's doing it because she actually really gives a fuck about people. And I appreciate how much she's been fighting for federal workers. People don't know her mother was a federal worker, and so it's very personal to her. And so I do. She's one of the people on the list I've gotten the closest to, and I really appreciate her.
Nice. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you like all these people.
I do.
That's cool. I think a lot of folks on the progressive left, they hate on these people because, maybe they like one of them. Depending on how far left they consider themselves, they might actually hate them all. Yeah. And that pisses me off because it's like, we need leaders. This is something that came up in the first episode of the podcast that has stuck with me. I interviewed the executive director of the Sunrise Movement, Arush Aniaje, and she said, what the left needs to shift about our mindset is that we need to govern this country. The goal is to actually gain control and power and steer the country in a better direction. Yeah. And I think that that's something that's really hard for a lot of people who consider themselves leftists to wrap their head around. It's like, we need to be the government, which means we need good leaders. Yeah. And
I even saw people on left turn on Mamdani after he got the nod.
Yeah, a lot of people are turning on Mamdani, which is crazy to me. And it's like, how much are you going to get in your own way? This is a democracy where you need to get like the most votes in order to get your candidates into power. And then once you're in power, you need a lot of leaders in different parts of the country and in different like positions. And that's thousands upon thousands of officials. And that requires that you hire some people who don't agree with you on every single thing.
And you have to make cultural change. And that is a big part that's missing. And it's because it takes a lot of work. It's not easy.
It takes time.
And you don't push the Overton window in elections. A lot of people have not studied the Overton window properly. The Overton window is not something that happens by trying to make somebody lose and then a fascist gets in office. That's not how you shift the Overton window. You shift the Overton window with people already sitting in office. And that is a huge misunderstanding that was happening. I mean, I had a white person tell me that the imperial boomerang was coming back to hit me and that's what I deserve. And I was like, coming back? Do you know how I got here? Do you think my people just like, what?
What is the imperial boomerang? I don't even know what that is.
Imperial boomerang is this concept that the oppressive tactics that a colonizing country will use externally, they will eventually use internally on their own people. I am from external. Yeah. Like, my people are from external. The actual imperial boomerang is white people in America who ascribe to white supremacy now feeling the oppressive tactics. Not Black people, not Black women and Black Americans. That's a crazy phrase to use talking to a Black woman in America. And so we have to understand that coalition building is how you shift the Overton window. So all of this talk about shifting the Overton window, it's not in 107 days by trying to force somebody's hand in an election. It is a long process that takes work and cultural understanding and exchange. That's how you do that.
Yeah. It's going to take a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, man. So many.
I always try to end on the same question, which is, what would a better future look like and feel like to you?
Oh my God. Everybody have healthcare. Everybody have food stamps. Everybody have housing. Everybody have education. It would be a lot like countries that already exist and do these things. Like, this isn't wild. This isn't a wild concept. But a lot of those countries, the reason why they're so successful when we talk about places like Denmark and Sweden is they're very homogenous. What I mean is racially homogenous.
Mm-hmm. And the populations are much smaller too.
All those things. But before we get there, I will say that racism would be gone. That would be the number one thing. We got to get to the root of that. Also, this surprises people, but I would totally be cool with living in an agender society.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, I could see that. I feel like that would solve a lot of problems too, but maybe out there for some folks.
That's cool. Out there's okay.
Agender society would be pretty cool.
Nice. I like those, and I agree. The agender thing, yeah, I could fuck with that. I don't know.
You just literally dress and look how you feel.
I do like that. I spent a year living in Berlin, and that completely shifted my thoughts about gender because they're very forward-thinking on gender stuff. And yeah, it's like I could wear lipstick if I want. I could wear an earring if I want.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Stop judging.
Yeah.
Let people do whatever they want, and a lot of conservatives aren't going to like that.
No, they'll be all right.
So if people want to learn more about you, learn more about your work, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on all the social platforms at Booker Squared. It's BOOKERSQUARED, except on X, aka Twitter. I dead named Twitter because Elon dead names his child. It's Booker_squared because I bullied Scott Baio and the first account got banned. And you can also find me at my Substack at www.bookersquared.com.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for your time. It was great talking with you today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this.
Of course.
To check out Liz's website that she just mentioned, head to the episode description where I've dropped a direct link, in addition to links to her social media profiles, which I suggest you follow, and links to social media profiles for this podcast. As always, I appreciate your time, and I want to remind you that the best way to support this podcast right now is to subscribe and to share this episode with a friend who you think might like it. So what do you think? Did we fix the left? I'll admit that it's going to take more than one conversation, so stay tuned for the next episode of the Better Future podcast because I've got a lot of great people coming on soon. All right, I'll see you at the next one. Ciao.